I don't remember if I've said it before or not, but I've actually been a big fan of Transmetal Tarantulas' design for quite some time, and never actually owned the original figure until getting back into collecting recently. I no longer have the original figure again because I was bothered by the bicep curler arm thing, but then this happened. Today, it's all about TransArt's Motor Spider. And TransArt has been doing a lot of Beast Wars and Transmetal figures, or Transmetal adjacent figures, not just Transmetal. No, actually, I think it's been pretty much all Transmetal. But anyway, they've been making a lot of these kind of. It's a weird combination of like taking the original toy and just kind of dressing it up a bit, like they did with I think it was Transmetal Optimus is basically the original toy, but like with better materials and maybe some added articulation or something like that. And then they also have like this, which is very much taken from the original figure with added engineering and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. It's like they've been taking the classic Transmetal figures and turning them into more or less masterpiece-ish style figures, like in terms of size and general quality. Though I've heard things about their Black Arachnia that kind of doesn't support the quality aspect of it. But this guy does. This is obviously supposed to be Transmetal Tarantulas. I don't know why my voice is doing this. It was fine before. And I want to get this out of the way first because this is just the most like I don't care aspect to this entire package. He comes with his little spider drones, and I'm sure there are people that think this is incredibly cool. And not to disparage that, we've all got our things that we find interesting or neat. Whoop. Wrong thing. We've all got our things that we find interesting or neat when it comes to Transformers figures. These are 100% something that I'm like, I don't care. But they're here. You've got the 3 little spider drones. 2 of them are very similar, though they are different. You can see that this one has like the little 2 peg holes there and like this little 2 exhaust or whatever you want to call it thing on the top there. This one has 1 peg hole and 1 little exhaust thingy. And then this one has this big old bucket on its back. And there's that. They have those peg holes and stuff because of these little arms that you can attach to them. And I have not taken them out of the package, as you can see, because I just don't care. But for the sake of you all, because I figure at least one person watching this is probably going to want to know how this looks and not have to Google a photo. Wow, this is really on there. Open this up. All right, that does not want to come off. Come on, there we go. Oh, that tape is really on there. Okay. So yeah, you've got the 3 arms, and from what I can tell, the 3 different robot arms are identical. Oh, no, nope, they're not quite identical. This one, the one in the middle is like on the bottom. This one, they're on top. Or do these rotate? These look like they may rotate. I don't want to force it though. Yeah, I'm not going to force it. But anyway, they're practically identical. So let's see. This one does not have a thing. It's just the bucket. So we'll put this claw on the solo one. I'm gonna try. That is very tiny. I worry about the longevity of that peg. But there's that. Put the other ones in this guy. There we go. I'm not putting them in all the way because I'm going to take these out, put them back in the bag, and then put everything back in the box after this. But just so you can see, there are the 3 little spider drones with their arms attached, and that's a thing that exists. And I'm going to use this guy to show off the articulation. Basically, they all have these 3 legs, and yeah, I know referring to them as spider drones is a little silly because they have 6 legs, but they're each grouping of legs, like the front, middle, and back, are one piece, and each one is on a swivel, so you can swivel each set however you want to try and make it look like they're walking, and that's cute. But again, this is the thing that I just do. This is not anywhere in my interest for this set or character. So let's get these claw arms out of here, get these drones out of here, and move on to talk about the important part of this video. All right. And close you back up. Close you back up. That works. And come here, you 3. All right. Now, Motor Spider himself it's Transmetal Tarantulas, as I said, but it's a really, really cool figure that for some reason the color's a little weird on the camera. I don't know why it's doing that, but yeah, this is Transmetal Tarantulas' Spider Mode, but like bigger. Since I don't have the original one to do a comparison with, then I'm just going to take my word for it, but this is definitely bigger than the original. You can store the gun saw on the back here, which I don't like, but there's just this tiny little peg here and little peg holes on either side of the weapon, so you can plug it in, and it's fine, but I don't really like it. I prefer to have this detail visible. But the thing that sucks is you can't store it on the underside of the spider mode. Like, there's no place for it to go, really. I don't know, maybe you can wedge it in here? Maybe? Nope. Okay. Like, I was thinking maybe there are these little holes here, maybe these little peg bits on the gun handle can go in there, but no, they're too big. The little peg holes are just too big for this, so that's not going to work. And that stinks. I just wish you could store this under the spider somewhere so that it's not visible, but oh well. We'll take a look at this more when we get to the robot mode. Now, for the spider itself, it is definitely taking liberties with regards to how a spider should look. It has the requisite 8 legs, which is good. It's got 2 giant mandible things in the front, which is a bit too big. I know this is for the design from the toy, possibly the show. I don't remember exactly if the show design had these giant things sticking out of the front or not. But the thing is, I kind of feel like with all the stuff they've been doing with these figures, they could have figured out a way to maybe tuck these back in a little bit further so that they don't stick out quite as far. But I'm sure they did it more in the name of being true to the original toy / model or whatever than wanting to make it look more like a robot spider, like an actual spider. So it's fine. But yeah, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. It's got lots of really nice molded and painted details. Like you can see, all of the bits along the spider legs are all painted in black, and there's some really nice molding. Some nice stylization with the holes going through there. It's little spiky bits. And yes, this guy is a bit spiky. You've also got the spikes along here and here. This one's not as sharp, but like these and the tips of these and like in here, those are pretty sharp. But yeah, nice texture on this figure. You've got some nice black paint for the details up along here. The gorgeous, almost engine-like detailing in the back here. I really love these bright green highlights. Those stand out really nicely. And just the added molding and stuff, like, not added, but like all the molding and texture in here just looks so good. This little wheel thing, which we'll talk about later, and also the multitude of eyes, which they did get the right number of eyes, which I think is more because of the original design. But yeah, Again, looks great, and that green pops really nicely on all the colors that they decided to use here. Now, he does have the thing. He can do the thing that he could do in the show, which was weird, but you'll notice there's a little seam down here. May not be able to do this on camera. Also, I think I'm going to have to pull out a screwdriver for this, because it is so small. But there's a little seam there that if you can get things lined up... Come on. Come on. I don't want to scratch this thing, but I want to show you all this. Okay, I'm going to have to disconnect one of these pieces here. So yeah, there you can see the little flap there. Little flappy do. And with the right leverage, I did this myself. I know this works. I've seen it in videos too. But this is really in there. And I really don't want to scratch this up, but I'm kind of feeling like I'm not going to have much choice. Why is this so noxiously difficult? There we go. Jeez. It's just horribly annoying to move. But there you can see he has his little spider mouth, which is not cool. I don't like that. It looks really bad. But I know it's show accurate. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. I just don't like that design aspect of the original design. Not just because it's inaccurate, but it just looks a little bit silly. I feel like it's less threatening to have him looking like that. Also, I think maybe I did scratch up the lower jaw a little bit with that screwdriver. Oh well. But pop this back into place. And yeah, so you've got that if you wanted to, you know, open his little spider mouth. It's silly, but I do appreciate that they went to the effort to put that in there, but it's not a feature for me, but I'm sure it'll make someone else happy. Now, in terms of the spider articulation, these bits here are the robot legs, or lower parts of the robot legs, so you do get some up and down motion. You can kind of rotate them a bit, but really they're best served just kind of hanging out. But you can angle them up or down if you want. So like if you wanted them to be more straight out, you could do that. I kind of angled them down a bit, but there's that. And now the spider legs, they're all the exact same articulation, just in 4 different points along here. So each leg has this joint to move side to side, this joint to move up and down. There's a mushroom peg here to rotate the legs, and this is an annoying thing about this figure that a lot of these figures have had, that these, depending on which leg, have a tendency to pop off. Like you'll rotate the leg and it'll just pop off the mushroom peg. I pulled on it that time to make it happen, but there are definitely certain legs on this figure that do not want to cooperate when you rotate them, and that's very annoying. Actually, you can see I'm having trouble getting this back on. There we go. But yeah, that is one thing to look out for on this guy. It's not like nothing's broken so far, and it doesn't seem to show any signs of stress or cracking, but they just sometimes pop off. I think the mushroom pegs or the sockets or whatever might be slightly misshapen on a few of these legs. But anyway, you've got that joint, you've got this joint up here that can bend all along like that. Then you also have a joint on the tip here that can bend up and down, but this joint is just scary tight. Don't entirely know why, but oh, there, see, it popped off. But yeah, you can see there is a joint there, and it does move, but it's so tight that I'm not gonna try and force it. I don't want to like snap this little strut. So that would stink. The spider legs are kind of important. But every single spider leg has that same level of articulation. It's just a matter of getting them all lined up. And as you can see, the legs are strong enough that you can, that's a good way to show this. I guess I'll just use this. But like you can see that you can totally have the spider up off the ground. If I angle this down a little bit better, you can see more that like that spider is not, the spider body is not touching the table. It is entirely suspended by the legs. The legs are strong enough to support it. Probably helps that there are 8 of them. But that's cool. I like when the spider multi-leg, like when any of the insect or arachnid style figures do, allow you to do that. I think that's cool. Now, before we get into the comparisons and all that, I want to do the vehicle mode real quick. So it's, it's Transmetal Tarantulas. He's got his vehicle mode. It's the same vehicle mode, and it's done primarily the same way as the original figure. But what you want to do is just get these spider legs up and out of the way. And for the for this back one, you're gonna want to kind of rotate it a bit just to give yourself a little bit more room. Otherwise, it'll knock into this piece here. So bring those spider legs up. And I don't know that this is like the intended way. Like, I don't think this is how he's supposed to look as he's zooming along, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of time configuring those legs. Now, you want to take the weapon, and the weapon pegs in here, but you're going to need to take one of these legs out first. And so there's this little tab on either side of the back of the weapon at this angle. And if we untab this, you can see there's a little slot on the inside of the thigh there, on that little nubbin that's sticking out. So you want to peg this in right there, and then bring this down and kind of whoop. Okay, let's try it on this side instead. Peg this in. Actually, let's do both. We'll move both legs up. So unpeg both legs to get them apart, and peg this in place. Why are you being silly? There we go. So peg that in place, close this up, make sure that it pegs in on the other side as well, which is really difficult to show on camera for some reason. The lighting is just not cooperating with me. There we go. Okay. Now the gun is nice and pegged in, so just bring these back up, and these will tab into their usual spots. Bring these back down, and yes, as you can clearly see, the the robot mode arms are just hanging out under there, but oh well. And now take this piece back here, and like the original, you want to pop this out and rotate it. But before you rotate it, because if you just rotate it and now this is just like this, and that's gonna grind against this, and that's just bad. So what you want to do is, before you get everything settled in place, on this side there's this little strut here that you can pull out, and it doesn't tab in anywhere, but that little strut will actually brace the wheel. So you can kind of see, oh boy. You can kind of see how the strut is bracing the wheel assembly, and that keeps it from collapsing when he's in vehicle mode. So you can actually put him down, and he can, in theory, roll, but the problem is he's a spider motorcycle, so he's not gonna, stand up straight. But still, it's silly, but it's cute. And it's not a mode I plan on revisiting anytime soon. But yeah, just gonna tuck that back up, rotate this back around, put this back in place, and get this gun / buzzsaw thing out of here. and put all this back together. Not the biggest fan of having to disassemble, or not disassemble, but having to like detransform him to get the gun in place, but it is what it is. All right, bring the spider legs back down. And he is slightly, whoop. This is also why I didn't want to disconnect everything, because the figure isn't, it looks like I'm struggling with getting him to stay together more than I really am. It's just that there are very specific parts, namely right up here, that do tab in, but like they're very easy to untab if you're not mindful of them. And that's one of the reasons why I really don't like taking the this section apart to do the motorcycle mode. But it's a thing you can do, and I felt compelled to show it, so there we go. But anyway, as I was saying, now that we've shown off the motorcycle mode, we can get to the actual comparisons. We can see that this guy is quite big compared to the original, at least. Like, the original was a deluxe size figure, I believe, and this guy is definitely not that. He's, I want to say, maybe double, maybe not quite double, but like he's definitely much bigger than the original. Like, comparing this to a deluxe, even just the center body part is like, it's a big, it's a big spider. And of course, got to do our most important size comparison. Here is Motor Spider with the duck tank. Alright, robot mode transformation time. Now before we do that, of course, got to do the requisite thing. So if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've made, want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. It's going to pop up at the end of the video, but also there is a link down in the description. I only have a single $1 tier. That's it. But that $1 a month gets you early access to new videos, as well as access to the occasional Patreon-only video that I put up. Like, the last Patreon-only video I did was an unboxing of this guy. So patrons got to see my very initial, initial thoughts, first time reaction to unboxing this guy and handling him. And yeah, so if any of that sounds good, $1 a month, all it takes. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without having to spend any money, which I completely understand, you can always do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe. So with that out of the way, let us turn this spider into a Spider-Man. Not like that. So, let's see. First thing I'm going to do is get these legs kind of up and out of the way. So, the spider legs are on this core assembly here. This entire piece here is all one big piece, and that's pegged into the back of the thighs, and it's pegged into a tab on this metallic-y piece on top here. So we want to untab the leg from there, and then pop this up, and it'll untab. And then it's on this kind of double swing, double hinged armature, so you can swing it up and back. And we're just going to leave it like that for now. Same deal here. Unpeg it, swing it up and around, and there we go. This assembly, just going to swing that up to get it out of the way for now. Now we can do the arms. So to bring this down, and this bluish piece here is tabbed in right around here. So I'm going to untap this. You can kind of see there's this little tab here that tabs in right in there. So untab this and untab on this side as well. Just kind of hinge that out. Now with that hinged out, rather than try, well, I guess we can do it. You can just kind of pull this out. Now this will, you can kind of see there's this accordion system. There's these like accordion hinges in there, and you can see that it's kind of whacking into things. This piece can rotate, so if you rotate it, then you should have the clearance you need to just swing that out. And same deal here, just rotate it the other way, pull and swing that out. And that gets the arms freed up. Now, well, while we're here, so with the arms freed up, you want to take this hinge here and straighten this out. What you want is you want this to be pretty much these two pieces to be parallel, and you want these two tabs here to be on the same, basically like parallel to each other, because that will be important later. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Just try and show this. Just fold that out, and there we go. And that is going to be it for the arms for the time being. Now for the other parts of it, I want to take, zoom this back out a bit. I want to take this piece and get it disconnected, and this kind of, it doesn't peg in, but like this assembly here sits in this shape in here, and it does actually, like this will peg in right here, so it does kind of snugly sit in place when it's in there, but you want to pull that out. And we do want to rotate this. The problem is remembering how. So let's see. I'm probably going to get this wrong. But I'm going to rotate it. If this is wrong, I'll just change it later, but rotate it so that you get more clearance here, because we need that clearance to hinge. You get out of the way. We need that clearance. Stop it. To hinge this whole thing down. Because of this whole thing hinged down, now we can do this part up here. So here is the robot head and all that. So you want to pull this little flap up, swing this assembly back and around, and then there is the robot mode head. This will come down, and then there are these little bits on the sides of this armature here. You want to actually pull those out separately. They're a bit squeaky, but there you can see that those rotate out separately. And now this can swing down, and the spider mode head will kind of tuck in there. Let's try and get these two struts that they're relatively even. Get the spider head, or robot mode head, kind of situated. And now, actually, yeah, I screwed that up. We're going to fold this back up and out of the way for a sec, because we actually want to take this piece and swing it around 180 degrees. Now we can take this and bring it down, because yeah, this this is not going well. Nope, still doesn't want to go. Okay, I think we're gonna have to take care of this piece just so that we have clearance. So we got to disconnect. I'm sorry this is such a mess. I have not transformed this guy that many times. But anyway, this piece, want to separate it, but it is a pain to do without a spudger, so you're going to want a spudger. But you want to separate these bits here and here, and then pull that out. And then let's make sure that this is right. Yeah, okay, I think I got it right this time. So with those pulled out and off to the side, now we can bring this down a lot further. And now we can swing this down, swing that up, and that part is ready to go. Next, this chest piece hinges up, and there are these little grooves here and these little tabs here that will slide in there. But another thing you got to do is there are these kind of tabs on the side of the base of the neck that will slide into these grooves here. So you want to get all that lined up. And as you're doing that, you also want to bring this up and swing these wheels back so that they sit inside the torso section like that. So bring this up, and what I tend to do is try and get the neck tapped into the chest first so that it or not, maybe not necessarily first, but like I try to do that before pushing everything back all the way, because it just kind of helps to get things lined up, but it's so fiddly. This is my least favorite part of the transformation because it's so annoying to try and get things lined up, and it just doesn't seem like it needed to be this complicated. But anyway, scan it again, try this again. So push this into, and then this is really difficult to show, but I've got it lined up now, and then push that in. Then this assembly, this bit kind of tabs into these struts that were pushed out on the back. And that tabs everything together, kind of. So there is the torso formed. I will just get the legs because we need this guy to stand up. So we want to take the feet and hinge them down, just like that. And now he can stand. So we'll get all of that situated. So now he's standing, and now it'll be much easier to do the rest of the upper body. Okay. And just going to move these armatures up so that we can swing the arms back further. Because what we want to do now is take these wheel bits, and this thing will peg into the little peg on the side of these struts that we folded out earlier. And this is the point where you know for sure if you've got it lined up right. You want this kind of tapered section of the wheel half facing forward. You don't want this bit, the flat half with like the tab on it facing forward. So this is how you know we got it right. So you bring it up, and then this is on a bit of its own little armature, so you want to just angle that back a bit so that it lines up with that tab, swing it up, and peg it into place. And that is all there is to that. This is actually the smoothest that this part of the transformation has gone for me since I got this guy, because every time I tried before this, I always, without fail, would get the wheels on the wrong side. So I'm glad I got them on the right side this time. Okay, now I'm going to spin this up, and we want to have these tabs. You want these tabs on this armature here to go in here. So I'm going to get these spider legs out of the way and rotate this around, bring this in, and try and actually show this. That's a good way to show this. I guess I'll do one and then try and get the other one. But anyway, those tabs go into their little slots, and there is one robot arm pegged into the torso. On this side, this might be a little easier because of the angles. On this side, same deal. Just get that out of the way, rotate that, bring this around, and angle this so that these tabs go into there. That was probably out of focus, but there, peg into there. And they will go in all the way if you have everything lined up right. Otherwise, you might have like one tab not quite sitting right. Now these pieces can just hinge up to fill in the arms, just the arms. The forearm sections, what you want to do there is, this is how they're situated for spider mode, so that the little spiky bits don't get like scratched off or anything like that. So what you want to do is rotate the forearm about 90 degrees, then rotate the hand around, and that gives you the correct orientation, or accurate orientation for the forearm. Like, you can leave it however you want, because, you know, got all these hinges, you could do whatever you want with them. But that is the intended way for the forearms to be oriented. And lastly, for the spider legs, You can arrange these however you want. I should zoom out so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So for the spider legs on the back, you can arrange these however you want. I prefer to have them pointed up because it takes up less shelf space. But for now, we're going to do the show thing, or mostly show thing, and rotate them all forward. I'm trying to be careful here because this is where the popping off usually happens. So rotate those around 180 degrees. Then you can use the double hinge struts back here to rotate these around, and there are these little peg holes right there that peg over these little pegs right there in the gold section. And that gets these little pieces to stay in place, mostly. Like, it's not a super solid connection, but it's solid enough. Like, they're not gonna wiggle out on their own. I wouldn't pick them up by it. But yeah, they tab in pretty securely. And can orient the spider legs, and also what I prefer to do with this piece is just fold it back like that, just that it's not visually interrupting the silhouette. But yeah, there we go. There is Motor Spider in, oh, just noticed. There is a crack right there. This is apparently a very common, oh, there's one there too. And there's one there, 3. And this one's fine. So yeah, this is a common problem with this guy from what I've seen on TFW. It doesn't seem to be affecting anything, it just kind of sucks. But it is what it is. But anyway, with all of that done, just going to get these spider legs oriented. And yeah, that is TransArt's Motor Spider. The transformation on this guy is definitely more of a thing than the original toy, but it's manageable. The thing that really bugs me about this guy is the way the upper body comes together. I don't mind the arms and the shoulders pegging in. That's pretty accurate to the original toy, and it works. I don't really know how else they could have done that to get those wheel bits up there. The thing that bugs me is how this center mass pegs together, because an issue that I have is if he's leaning forward like this, it's very easy if you push these two pieces together, like you can see, this will start to separate. If you have it all kind of lined up, tapped in, and pushed together well enough, like, it should hold. You should be okay, but it's just annoying that this doesn't ever seem to want to stay completely pegged together right up here, and that's a little bit irritating. But I can't really argue with the aesthetics. Like, as I said, I really like Transmetal Tarantulas' design, and this is kind of a perfect rendition of that in toy form. This looks absolutely incredible. Like, I don't think there's any other way to describe it, really. It's fantastic. The legs just don't seem to be lined up quite right. It just looks so good. Like, all the colors seem to be there. The way that they applied like the paint and stuff, it looks really good. I love how you go from the gold to this kind of burgundy-ish color with the metallic bluish gray kind of worked into the shins. The glossy blacks are really nice. Just so much of the design, and this is owing to the original design, just really pops with like the color separation. I also really love how you don't really get much in the way of organic design in the spider mode, but you do get some organic looking texture in like the forearms and the midsection in the robot mode, which is, I don't know, it's interesting to me that like the organic stuff was mostly saved for the robot mode. Yeah, this is great. I love that they did like gold for the claws. It doesn't tonally stand out as much against this kind of pearlescent burgundy color, but you know, like when you look at them side by side, but like it stands out enough, and it does look really good. And yeah, it's really nice. And again, those green highlights are really doing the job. They're putting in the work in the midsection and the torso and the shoulders. It's all really good stuff. I love that they also even got the little bits around the sides, both the inside and outside of the wheels, not just the tops. This guy looks great. The spider arms are a bit of a hassle. As you can see, I keep bumping them, but he looks utterly amazing. And he's kind of, you know, like I guess not technically kibble free because you've got these bits back here and this bit sticking out, but like I don't really know if that's inaccurate, and I think it still works. And like, what else were you going to do for the spider legs? I don't really know how else they could have gotten those to stick out because he needs to have the spider legs on his back. So yeah, but this does look incredible, and this is why I wanted to get this figure. And yes, I struggled with transformation a bit, but it's not bad. I'm way more of a fan of this than the spider mode, but that's a me thing. And I just think this guy is super neat. Now, the head it's as I understand it and can recall, that is definitely just transmetal tarantulas through and through. The head shape is great. He's got this kind of multi-layered mandible mouth. The somewhat sound wavy shaped, or not sound wavy shaped, but like sound wave adjacent, reminiscent visor. Little horns, which are cute. Even little green highlights in the forehead there. And I love the mixture of colors in the head too, with the metallic bluish grays, the pearlescent burgundy, the green, gold. And it's arranged in so many nice layers that all the different details stand out pretty nicely. So yeah, really solid head sculpt. And even around the back, you can see they've got other separated out colors and stuff. They put in a lot of time and effort into detailing and painting and, you know, color separating out the various parts of this figure. This, I can't necessarily say it was like a labor of love, but it definitely feels like the people who designed and put this together had immense respect for the source material for the original design. Now, the articulation, the head, as you saw, is actually on a ball joint, so you get a lot of side to side, which is really cool, and then pretty nice up. Down is okay, but given how this all comes together, I can understand why they would do that. And of course, as you saw, you can rotate the head left and right. The spider arms are the same exact articulation that they've been. I'm just going to angle these back to get a little bit more room here. So the regular robot arms can swing forward and back. You kind of need to hinge this out of the way to go around, but you can go around. They can go in and out, and if you want to go out more, you can hinge this out, go out a lot more. And this is just on a double hinge system in there, so hinge that. As you can, whoop, that is another thing with this. I think this is a problem with the original toy too, where if you're not careful when you're doing the articulation, you can pop some things out. But the arms do have a bicep rotation, which is pretty tight, but manageable. You also have a double jointed elbow that bends here and up here, so you can bend like that. which I believe is more for the transformation, because you can see it actually destroys the sculpt of the bicep. But you got that, and then you've got this one that can bend to a little bit past 90, but together you can go all the way up. As you saw during transformation, you do get a... There we go. As you saw during transformation, you do also get a forearm swivel, and that can go all the way around, but I prefer to just stick with the various transformation poses. You get a wrist swivel, which was a big thing that I wish the original toy had. That would have made all the difference for me, not having the palms up robot mode hands. But in addition to the wrist swivel, you get the back and forth rotation, which is really cool. And then the 3 fingers all have individual pins at the base, so you can articulate the fingers a bit. You don't have like multiple knuckles or anything like that, but I think given everything else that this guy does, that's fine. I would actually worry if those fingers had multiple joints in them, because they are kind of spindly. You do get a waist swivel, which is a little tricky to use because of all the junk back here, but we can rotate at the waist. And that section up there is being uncooperative, but there you go. You can go all the way around if you really want to. The thighs can go forward to just about 90, and as you might expect, they cannot go back super far because of this stuff back here, which I think we can give that a pass. I don't really think that there's I don't think there's anything they could have done to address that. Legs can go out to 90. They go past 90, maybe a little past 90. You do get a knee swivel, but it's above the knee, so that's the important one. So it works as a thigh swivel. The knees can bend forward slightly, which is good for thrusting poses, and then they can bend in to 90 degrees. And then the feet also actually have a fair bit of articulation. You've got side-to-side tilt, you've got forward and backward tilt, and you've got rotation. But the the instructions actually come with a warning about the ankles, because I guess something they're worried about people doing is trying to rotate the ankles, or not rotate the ankles, trying to like pivot the ankles forward and backward if the ankle is also rotated, because you don't want to do that, because if you rotate this, you can kind of see how the joint, like the foot rotates around the joint. So if you rotate this and then try to move things, that could go very badly. So just be mindful of that. Yeah, there is the articulation. Pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. It is actually quite good. Kind of dances circles around the original. Of course, definitely dances circles around the original in terms of detailing and paint and all that. These back in place. But yeah, I do like this figure. I absolutely like this figure a lot. It's just like he's a bit fiddly in terms of like having to get arms, like spider arms, out of the way and account for the torso wanting to separate and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a sometimes, but not the worst. Anyway, he does also have his gun, which is that not translucent, am I thinking? The metallic kind of bluish gray. It's like a gun, but a buzzsaw, which I guess is because scientist/surgeon, whatever his thing was. As you can see, it spins really nicely. The texturing is pretty good. You've only got that bit of orange on either side, but hey, it is what it is. And yeah, it gets the job done. I've never been a huge fan of this weapon, but it is what it is. Like, I don't dislike it, it's just kind of a whatever thing. But this can go in either hand, and it does the thing you probably expect it to do, where there is a very, very small peg hole on the inside of the hand and pretty small pegs on the gun itself, so you just get that lined up and take it in. Though you do actually want to be careful. You want to get the finger lined up first, because there's this little section in here that the finger can actually slide into. Otherwise, he's going to be holding it like this, and he's not going to be able to curl his finger in. So you want to get this around the finger first, and then peg this into the palm, which is trickier than it should be. And this is not a new thing. This is a thing I encountered pretty much like right off the bat. But peg that in, and we can curl the rest of the fingers around. And there, he's holding his buzzsaw gun thing. And yeah, it works. I like too that you get the little bit of extra tilt in addition to the rotation and all that with this. It's nice. Just as you can see, I'm still kind of struggling a bit. I just wish that the joints that held the torso together, like the bits that held the torso together, held it together a little bit better. I don't like having to be quite so meticulous when trying to pose this guy, which, as I've said, does not ruin the figure for me. It's just that, you know, trying to move the arm and accidentally popping things out is just like, oh, come on. I don't like having to hold a figure from a specific spot just to rotate something on the body, you know? Not my favorite thing. But can't really argue with how freaking amazing this guy looks. Like, look at that. That is freaking cool. I think I need to turn down brightness here a bit. There we go. Also, he is pretty big. We bring in our size comparisons here. You can see he's roughly Voyager height. I would say Voyager height, liter substance, because he is the same height as Artfire, maybe ever so slightly shorter, which it doesn't really show from this angle, but from where I'm sitting, it looks like Artfire's head is like fractionally, just like by a couple of millimeters higher than Tarantulas or Motor Spiders. But yeah, about that height, but like, he is dense. The materials are dense and heavy, and also I did not mention this before. I should have mentioned this sooner, but the feet and the gold bit back here, where the spider butt, are die cast, and I think I'm pretty sure, but I don't know for absolutely certain, but I think the thighs are also die cast. So he's hefty. He's got a lot of weight and density to him. Anyway, let's just bring in our standard deluxe burnout, so you can see how he stacks up there. Of course, he also looks bigger when you've got the spider arms to factor into it. And most important of all, here he is with the duck tank. Oh boy, this video is like almost an hour long. I don't know why I keep doing this. By which I mean I don't know why I keep making them so long. They just end up that long. I don't go in intending that, but yeah. So that is it. That has been my look at TransArt's Motor Spider, and this is a really cool figure. I absolutely, as I have said multiple times, have some nitpicks when it comes to the the way things hold together in robot mode, and a little bit in spider mode too, but mostly in robot mode. But it's not like it's fiddly and kind of persnickety, but not like he's not falling apart. He's not a QC nightmare. He's not a pain to mess with. It's just there are more things that you need to be kind of mindful of and very particular about when you're trying to pose this guy than I would prefer. But yeah, that aside, This figure is great. I absolutely wish that the spider legs weren't cracked on that side, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything. They don't seem to be cracking further. They're actually not, like, those legs that are cracked are actually tighter than the ones that aren't cracked, so make of that what you will, I don't know. But yeah, just a fantastic figure that is weird for me to have because I don't really do the Beast Wars thing that often, I say, after having just put out like a scavenger video, and I did like Cyber Shark earlier. But really, Beast Wars has not been my thing to the degree that it has been a lot of other people's. And I don't have any, like, I don't have the nostalgia for the show that a lot of people do, but I just always loved this design. And I feel like we can all see why looking at this thing, right? I mean, come on. But that's been enough about me talking about this thing. I've done more than enough of that. So let me know what you all think of this figure, or the original, or other TransArt stuff that they've been working on. Feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you all for watching, and this was actually an impromptu video. I was planning on doing some other stuff before this, and then I saw this guy sitting there and was just like, you know what, I'm going to talk about him now. But next time, we're going to be looking at something a little smaller, or a lot smaller.